And he continued to suggest that a Pacquiao-Mario Barrios welterweight title fight was possible. Bob Santos, the trainer for Mario Barrios, has said recently that he believes
36-year-old Manny Pacquiao coming out of retirement to face 29-year-old Mario Barrios for the WBC welterweight championship on July 19th in Las Vegas. That's according to an ESPN report. Pacquiao last fought in 2021 when he lost to Yordenis Ugas. Barrios won the WBC welterweight title from Ugas in 2023.
Two questions have the entire boxing world scratching their heads and leaning in. First, should Manny Pacquiao even be stepping back into the ring? Second, can he actually beat Mario Barrios?
As of now, Mario Barrios is the WBC champion, so who is he mandated to fight next? Do you have to make that decision yet?
Well, at this time, Mario Barrios is going to fight Manny Pacquiao in July. That's a tremendous fight. It was released, PBC. Manny Pacquiao first title was the flyweight WBC, and he wants to retire as WBC champion, so he's fighting in the welterweight division.
This isn't just a comeback. It's a full-on spectacle. Pacquiao, once the blinding whirlwind of 8 weight classes, is now a 45-year-old legend chasing one more shot at glory.
Manny Pacquiao getting back in the ring again for a world title.
Well, obviously, I definitely have to do with money. 1, 2, I think Manny Pacquiao, I think his C game is a lot better than anybody. A lot of guys' A game, even with the age. But you have to take into account the last time he stepped foot in that ring against Ugas. You know, he didn't look good.
Meanwhile, Barrios, fresh-legged and riding momentum, isn't planning on being anyone's stepping stone. This showdown isn't just about fists and belts. It's about legacy, pride, and whether time waits for anyone in the fight game.
Is not so happily retired. Seems to still be antsy about fighting. I was at the Andy Ruiz workout in LA this past week, and Sean Gibbons was there representing Isaac Cruz and part of that contingent.
Manny Pacquiao's return is a kind of plot twist you expect from a Rocky movie, except this time it's real life after bowing out in 2021 following a humbling defeat at the hands of Yordenis Ugas. Many assumed the Pac-Man had thrown his last punch, but no, here he comes again, all leather and lightning, setting his eyes on Mario Barrios and that WBC welterweight strap. It's the kind of move that makes you question reality. Pacquiao's last fight saw him slower, more labored, a shadow of the phenomenon who blitzed legends, but you don't become a legend by listening to doubt, do you? Barrios, meanwhile, isn't coming to play mascot to a farewell tour. He's hungry, he's dangerous, he's got youth in his corner, and he's got a jab that is sharp as an insult from Mike Tyson. And when it comes to momentum, Barrios has it in spades. He's not just active, he's active and improving. While Pacquiao was attending political rallies and retirement dinners, Barrios was grinding in gyms and clocking rounds like rent was due. It's a classic setup, old lion versus young killer, except this time the lion might not have enough bite left.
I said recently that he believes it was going to happen. What do you think of your old foil there, Manny Pacquiao, getting back in the ring again for a world title?
Well, obviously, it has to be pertaining to any kind of money. You know, it has to be financial. I mean, any fighter that comes back, especially from retirement, a guy like Manny Pacquiao, it definitely has to do with money.
Eddie Hearn, a seasoned eye in the game, didn't mince words. He admitted Pacquiao could still beat fighters ranked outside the top 20, but that wasn't exactly a glowing endorsement. It was more like saying, your grandpa can still drive as long as it's not on the freeway. That's what makes this match controversial. Pacquiao isn't facing a washed-up contender. He's challenging a legitimate belt holder, a man who's been in the trenches recently, not someone dragging old bones into the spotlight. Fans are torn. Half of them are cheering like it's 2008 all over again. Posters of Pacquiao back on their bedroom walls. The other half are groaning, worried that this will end with a stretcher instead of a celebration. It's hard to blame either camp. After all, Pacquiao has defied expectations his entire career. In the end, the punches land harder, the feet move slower, and recovery isn't measured in minutes anymore. It's weeks.
62, 8-2 with 39 knockouts. Barrios 29, 2-1. And for more, welcome CBS Sports combat analyst Brian Campbell. Manny Pacquiao, the first and only 8-division world champion. He'll be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame next month. And then in July, BC's going to come out of retirement. Why now?
By the way, between those two dates, I believe he has an election coming up for a Senate position in the Philippines. So we always know that Mandy...
Yet here we are staring at a fight that feels more like a crossover episode between two boxing eras. Barrios has everything to gain and very little to lose. A win over Pacquiao rockets his name into the stars. With a loss, he gets to say he shared the ring with a living legend, and that's still a PR win. But for Pacquiao, it's all or nothing. Every jab he takes is another echo of his past, another reminder that legacies can either be crowned or crumbled in one bad round. Some boxing legends have stepped forward with their takes, and let's just say they're not all singing Cumbaya around the Pacquiao campfire. Trainer Greg Hackett pulled no punches, calling this bout a money fight to him. It's not about honor, it's about paychecks. The timing, the opponent, and the hype all scream financial incentive over sporting integrity. But let's be real, when has boxing ever been just about the sport? Promoters are salivating, pay-per-view numbers are expected to explode, and the world is watching again. Hackett also painted a clear picture of what this fight really is. A strategic move, not a reckless charge into battle. If Pacquiao wanted to go out guns blazing, he could have called out Crawford or Boots. But Barrios, that a calculated risk. Still a challenge, still credible, but not so lethal that Pacquiao ends up a meme. It's the sweet spot. Enough danger to sell tickets, enough hope to keep dreams alive.
I think Manny Pacquiao, I think his C game is a lot better than anybody, a lot of guys' A game, even with the age. But you have to take into account the last time he stepped foot in that ring against Lucas. You know, he didn't look good. He was outmatched by, a younger fighter. Barrios is no slouch. Barrios is a young fighter, bigger fighter, knows how to, control distance very well, can punch a little bit. Like, he's no easy task for anybody in the welterweight division. And for Manny to come back after this long and to face a young guy like that is dangerous.
Time Bradley wasn't far behind, echoing the chorus of skeptics whose version he claims is far from that. Bradley believes a comeback is motivated by dollars more than glory, and honestly, it's hard to argue when you see a retired icon being handed a title shot with no warm-up. Who gets that kind of treatment unless money's behind the scenes pulling the strings? Barrios isn't blind to the setup either. He knows this is a golden opportunity. Here's a young wolf invited to the king's table, but unlike others before him, he's not there to pay respect. He's there to take the crown. Every interview, every sparring session, every bead of sweat is driven by one goal, to beat the legend, and not just beat him, but make it convincing. Pacquiao, for all his greatness, now finds himself walking a tightrope between history and humility. If he wins, it's a fairy tale, a new belt, a standing ovation, and one last piece of jewelry for an already cluttered legacy. But if he loses, that's a danger, not just a loss, but the way it might happen. A decision loss is fine, but a knockout that's career-ending, that's legacy-altering, and boxing fans have long memories and short forgiveness.
Combat analyst Brian Campbell, Manny Pacquiao, the first and only 8-division world champion. He'll be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame next month. And then in July, BC's going to come out of retirement. Why now?
By the way, between those two dates, I believe he has an election coming up for a Senate position in the Philippines. So we always know that Manny is a busy man. He gets after it. He also dares to be great. And
what makes this fight so deliciously controversial is the fact that both fighters represent something deeper. Barrios symbolizes a future, his modern and scientific. Pacquiao's old-school heart, hustle, and hand speed. This isn't just about age. It's about two generations clashing under the same lights, one trying to ascend, the other refusing to fade. And here's the punchline. Boxing's elite can't ignore Pacquiao. Even now, with arthritis tapping on his gloves, he still has the kind of awkward, unorthodox style that makes younger fighters uncomfortable. He lunges when he shouldn't. He throws from strange angles, and he does things no textbook teaches, and that unpredictability is still dangerous. Ask Keith Thurman how washed-up Pacquiao looked in 2019. Spoiler, he was on the canvas wondering what hit him, yet 2019 was 6 long years ago. Boxing years are like dog years, brutal, fast, and merciless. Every second away from the ring adds miles to your chin, and every missed punch in training is a landed punch in the fight, and Barrios has been running marathons while Pacquiao has been making speeches. The ring is not forgiving. Even so, there's an aura around Manny. You don't just step in with him and expect an easy night. Legends come with magic. Sometimes that magic dies early. Sometimes it surprises everyone one more time. But you can never count them out, which is why Barrios will have to be perfect. No slip-ups, no showboating, and no underestimating, because if Pacquiao catches him early, the script could flip far.
This is wild news. Look, in the boxing underground rumor mill, this has been floating around for a couple months. We just didn't know if it was going to be for real. Was Manny really going to commit to not just coming back after 4 years away, after just one fight of the last 6 years, at age 46, but to come back directly into a title fight against a young, in his prime, active champion, Mario Barrios?
And now the media circus is in full swing. Commentators, podcasters, and ex-champions who haven't stepped foot in a ring since flip phones were cool are crawling out with opinions. Hotter than a freshly wrapped hand, it's Pacquiao versus Barrios. The storyline has ignited a wildfire of wild takes. Some claim Manny still has the hand speed of a hummingbird on caffeine, while others think he'd lose a foot race to a tortoise with a limp. This isn't just a boxing match, it's an identity crisis for the sport. Is boxing a noble competition of skill and youth, or is it a nostalgia-soaked pay-per-view cash grab masquerading as high-stakes combat? You can almost hear the old-timers grumbling. Back in my day, we didn't need to sell drama to sell fights. But let's not pretend boxing hasn't always had one foot in the theater. This Pacquiao-Barrios affair is Shakespeare in gloves, a comeback tale so unlikely you half expect Sylvester Stallone to be shadow boxing in the background. Look around. Vegas is already licking its lips. The lights, the crowd, the celebrities who wouldn't know a jab from a low-carb diet will all be there, and that's part of the charm. Boxing is more than fists and fury. It's a show, a spectacle, and Manny's name still brings in a crowd like Elvis showing up at a karaoke bar. You don't need to know his stats, just his legend.